Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another episode of I'm Freaking Tired, and we still had a 2-hour delay today because the weather is freeze your fingers off cold. Yeah, as per my last video, I'm still thinking about school because, that consumes most of my life. I wish it didn't. I've made sure it doesn't consume all of my life, because when it consumes all of my life, I will be dragged into the void and die. That's what happened. School is, in fact, the world's worst cryptid. Now, there are better cryptids. There's my sweet Mothman and my sweet Nessie and Bigfoot. But there's school, the endless void which consumes all of us. Maybe it's more of an eldritch entity. I don't really know. However, I hate seeing how it consumes people's lives. Like, you have people who just go home and all they do is homework, and they're in so many clubs and things, they don't have time for anything else. I am often asked how I have time to do things, and frankly, I don't know. Because I have more time to do things than your average teenager, and I am in honors classes. I am in a few after-school clubs. We got like Latin, creative writing, improv. Is there anything else? There was more stuff last year, but there's a long story about that later. But I've done what I do what I want to do, okay? But I understand how to have a healthy amount of school, and I used to not. Like last year, oh boy, okay. Look, we're gonna go into this the proper way. Look, you're a freshman. Let's say you're a freshman. I'm not. You're a freshman. It's your first day of school. You're all like, yeah, I'm finding a high schooler. It's gonna be all High School Musical. It's not. Oh God, I wish it was. I wish it was. Man. But it's not. So you're gonna go in, you're gonna be like, yes, okay, today's today. And then you're gonna get in, and you're gonna lose yourself. And if you don't, good on you. But most people I know, they just lose themselves completely. Whether it's in work, whether it's in finding who they are, they don't know. Because it's all new. And then you just get work piled on top of you. And your grades aren't gonna be as good as they were in middle school. Mine were actually a bit better because I had a few teachers in middle school who didn't know what they're doing, or knew what they were doing but no one else did. So yeah, but you're just gonna kind of be thrown into this world of stress and of people you have to kind of impress or get rejected by, aka all the upperclassmen, because as a freshman, this is true, you won't be liked. It's most people, and it's not anything you do, most teenagers just hate that version of themselves because they didn't understand. It was awful for them. They're just like, I was so cringy. No, that's probably not true. Life was just awful as a freshman. I remember that, and somehow it was the worst year of my life. I can say that, and I had a terrible 8th grade. My 8th grade was when I first had the anxiety, the mental breakdowns, all this. So, and how do you combat this stress? How do you deal with it all? How do you find your place? How do you get to the greatness that you have been told you have to achieve, and you've made it, so you have to achieve it? Well, here's what worked for me. I don't know if it'll work for you. I'm one person, and clearly a lot of people around me found something, is you do what you want to do. Now, when I say this, I still mean you should try to make sure your grades are good, but not, you don't need, and this is hard for me to remember too, a B is fine. A C is not the end of the world, and as my psych teacher says, D's get degrees. So, while those C's and D's may not be too good, B's and A's are. You don't have to be an all A student to still be smart. I think getting a B, B's and A's is fine. It doesn't mean you're stupider than kids who get all A's. It might just mean that you're taking time to do what you want to do. It might mean you're not staying up every night until 5 o'clock to study and get that bread and get those good grades. That sounded really old. I'm not an old woman, okay? I swear, I am a teenager. I am. So you just, and also what I mean by this is take classes, like, yes, take honest classes if you think you can do them, and maybe take some other challenging ones. But if you're taking, like, I don't know, 6 AP classes in a year, and it's just so you can look smart, don't do that. No, maybe your school offers a really good, like, music theory class, but it's not AP, so you don't want to take it, but you're really interested in music theory. Take the class. Take the class. You will have a better time if you take that class. Let me tell you. Also, you might want to think about your classes, and this is going to be a lot of homework, so maybe I'll leave this for another year. You kind of need to start scheduling a bit in your brain in advance so you don't clog yourself up with work. Because when you do that, it could lead to burnout. And burnout is awful because you get depressed. You just start to be like, why am I doing anything? And if you can't get yourself out of it, you might just never do anything again. And you don't want that to happen. Make sure you are doing what's best for you and not what's best for your school. Make sure you have time for yourself. And yes, maybe not every day you'll be able to go home and just have fun, maybe watch a TV show, or what I do is, this is why people are always like, how are you able to do that? I write a lot. I have written 2 books full on. If you saw my NaNoWriMo video, you know I've completed one. And I've been working on 2. That one's finished, and they're 85,000 and 90,000 words respectively, which is a lot. And I've done this over the course of a year and a half. And I have had time to do this because I make sure that not everything is on my shoulders. I make sure I have time to do those things while maintaining my grades. And yes, maybe I could do better in, say, my chem class, which I got a B+ in last semester, and that made me unhappy. But I still got a B+, and I could have done better if I studied a bit more, and I did study, or if I cared a bit more, but I didn't like the subject matter, and I decided, okay, I'll study a little bit, but I won't study in something that I don't like, because for me, when I study things that I am not interested in, I don't retain any information, or maybe very little of it, because I don't like it, so I can't do it. And that's where you might find yourself at. You might find yourself wondering, how do I do this? Why am I doing this? Or why is everything just so hard? Why is the only thing I am able to do is study and read? And what I am here to tell you is you need to find time for yourself. Maybe lay back on clubs if you're like, that's just too much for me. Unless it's something you really want to do. Like, I am not in theater for 3 reasons. 1, I am not a good enough solo singer. I am a good choral singer. 2, I could not stand the conditions of being on crew, which is kind of a introduction to first year, because it made me freaking depressed. 3, it was too much of a time commitment, and I thought that time would be better spent instead of stressing about a show, sitting back at home, and writing. Find what you will, maybe your stuff that you really are into is something school related. Maybe you're like robotics. Now that's something I want to do all the time. That's fine, but make sure you have time for those things. Stop thinking about what will make you look better and what you want to do, and then try to find a balance between that. I'm not saying not to take hard classes. I'm not saying to just don't care about saying. I'm saying care, but only care as much as you actually do. Don't overdo it. Don't try to not stress your grades as much if that class doesn't matter to you. If I'm gonna definitely do something with like English or movies or TV or like, I don't know. I know I'm not gonna go into math, and which to some people's dismay, because I'm actually kind of good at math. I'm not going into it because I don't find enjoyment out of it. I'm probably not going to take like AP Calc and stuff because I don't find enjoyment out of it, and that's my decision. Yes, I know it will look better, and yes, I probably will have to take Calc at some point. There's other classes offered at my school that I want to take, and I am going to take them. And I think you should follow that too. You should try to be a good student, but also try to find time for yourself. I hope this helped. I just wanted this to be a positive reminder. I feel like a lot of people know how to do this, and it's something really hard. It takes a while to get to a point in your brain where you're able to do this, and I'm not fully there yet. But if it did, leave a like. If it didn't, leave a dislike, and subscribe or unsubscribe if you want. Until next time, sorry this video was so long. Goodbye.